again, thank you for joining us at Sisters on Sacred Grounds for our special series, Her Story, not his story, Her Story, right? At Her Story, the Sisters on Sacred Grounds family, we want to celebrate and really highlight young women who are just emerging in their artistic disciplines, in their entrepreneurial endeavors, and in their careers. And so we're so excited that we've been able to have some fabulous conversations with some dynamic women making an impact both locally and nationally. And today is no different, honey. Today we have my sister, the one and only Charlé Johnson. Yes, indeed. Charlé Johnson is a wife. She is a mom of three. She is the first lady, somebody say first lady, first lady of Metropolitan Baptist Church. And she serves there as the event coordinator and chief of staff, right? She is an author. Now, you know, I'm real excited about this. She is the author of her first book called Storm Watch. So we're going to get into that. We're going to get into it good. And we're going to talk about her journey of faith and hope and just how she has survived some real storms in her life. Come on, somebody. So welcome, Charlé.
Hi, Reverend Steph. Let me be politically correct. My sister girl, but Reverend Stephanie.
It's all good. It's all good. We appreciate the titles, but we know who we are. So it ain't nobody's tripping, okay? Nobody's tripping. But girl, I am so happy to talk with you. I am so just honored and pleased. And let me just say, now I just started reading your book. Girl, it's powerful. It's powerful. I haven't even gotten through all of it yet, but what I have read, I was like, oh my God. And you know, it's different when you read a book, but you know the author, you know, and you know, you think you know her story, but you don't know her story. Girl, oh my God. Come on and just greet everybody and tell us a little bit about your journey, your passion to getting to this book, Stormwatch.
Well, hi everybody. I am Charlé, like she said, and I came to write this book last year in 2020. The Lord had spoke to me before the pandemic hit. The Lord told me that 2020 was the year that I had to tell my son's story about his health challenges and how we navigated through it as a family. And I didn't know what that meant. I'm not, I didn't have any dreams or desires to become an author. I just, became a mom of a child who had severe health challenges. So with the pandemic, I was able to sit down and put all the thoughts on paper. I had to tell the story as a mom and as a wife and as a pastor's wife of how I survived the hardest storm of my life thus far. It navigates from when I was just a usher and a praise dance leader at my home church, how I met my husband, how I became a first lady, how I moved out of the house, how I had to learn how to cook and do all of those things all back to back. And then within 6 months, we're pregnant with our first child, who we are told had so many congenital birth defects that we should abort the child and start over, that he would not make it through the pregnancy. And here we are 7 years later. He has had 5 full open heart surgeries, countless number of procedures, but he's thriving, and he survived the storm, but we're surviving our storm. And Stormwatch is just a tool to anyone who has lost hope, who has lost faith. I talk about my storm throughout the book, but it really is a reminder for the reader that you will survive any storm.
Charlé, I mean, that's a lot. That's a lot to unpack, but and oh girl, I'm I really am. I'm overwhelmed because like I said, it's one thing when you know the person and you kind of watch, you went through this very publicly.
Yes.
I remember. Okay, and there are a lot of people that watched you go through it who didn't say a thing, but we were with you. We were praying. We were feeling that thing. Okay, we were feeling every time when you said my son is going through another surgery. My son and I just said Jesus, But I'm going back a little bit. I'm gonna go back a little teeny bit. Okay, first of all, did you really, really, really know that you were going to be a pastor's wife?
No, I had no idea.
Did you
Listen,
have
that
any inclination?
Listen, that was not written in my dreams, my desire. I wasn't even a little girl who sat back like, I can't wait to get married one day. I
Mm,
didn't pick out my dress. I didn't pick out any colors. I just was out here living, just enjoying life. Anybody that knows me knows I'm like the life of the party. I just like to show up at family functions and at my friend's house and just laugh and enjoy life. So I never thought that I would be a mom of three. I mean, I was a church girl. I grew up in church all my life, but
mm,
never had a desire to marry a pastor or think like, oh, this is it. We're gonna stay in ministry all of our lives, and we're gonna,
mm,
that was not on my list of things to do at all. It
wow,
makes sense
wow.
now, though. On this side of it, it makes sense.
It totally makes sense. And look at the path, I think a lot of people, when you're dating, when you just I think one of the things that I read in your book was like you were so busy doing other things that you weren't really thinking about getting married, and you certainly weren't thinking, I don't think now that I ask you, thinking about him being a pastor and all the implications that go along with that. But I thought that was really powerful because, you know, what would you say to young women who are out there who are in the same boat, if you will, that you were in prior to all of these storms that did come about? But there was some there was some sunshine, right? I mean, there was some beautiful weather happening before the storm, right? What would you say to these women who are out there just doing their thing? They're out there being busy. They're getting after their careers. What would you say to them in the midst of being available and open to what God has for them?
I would say to stay focused on your passion, on your dreams, on your goals, and trust God. What He
Mm,
has for you is for you, and in His time. Don't get discouraged. Don't try to put yourself on a time frame, a time schedule. Saying I want to be married by a certain age, or I want to have babies by a certain age. And I talk a little bit about this in the book too. There are so many people that even that get married and can't have children. So you don't know what's in the cards for you. So don't try to pack it and put it all together and say, I have to be married by a certain time so I can have kids by a certain time. I know people that say, okay, I'm not married, so just forget getting married. I'm running out of
yeah,
time to have a kid, so let me just go find somebody and have a kid. Like, don't do that.
yeah.
Just stay focused on your dreams, your goals, your passion. Get the bag, sis. Get the bag. The guy,
Yes.
the guy that God has for you is out there somewhere watching you.
Yeah.
He sees you, and when he's ready, when Adam is ready, he's going
Girl.
to come. Do not wake up. Do not wake Adam up prematurely. Let Adam sleep. Let him sleep, and when he's ready, he will come and find you. But please, just be encouraged. Is my biggest thing. You are not running out of time. You are on God's time, not your time.
Yes, I love it. And I gotta tell a little teeny bit of a snippet of a testimony about the Adam part. I'll save that for the end. But now listen. Oh, I love talking to happily married folks. I really do. Because what people don't get is that there are peaks and there are valleys.
Yes.
And one of the things that I love about your story, and I think the public portion of your story is that you shared that with us, you shared the joy, you shared the passion, the excitement of, y'all, I'm getting married, I'm about to marry this man, we're about to do this thing, it was a beautiful wedding, everything was lovely, and then just when, I think because sometimes people look from the outside and they think you have a perfect life. They're like, oh my gosh, she's beautiful, he's handsome, they're going to have a beautiful life, everything is great. And then the clouds start to form, you know? And so I want you to talk to us, just give us a little bit about how God had to test your faith, when those clouds started forming after the marriage and as your son was going through the challenges that he was going through.
Okay, so after we got married, we it was about 6 months after we got married. Now, mind you, I am learning how to be a wife as well as learning how to be a pastor's wife, which already kind of was a lot of anxiety for me. I'm just trying to figure out, as a, as a first lady in this generation, how to navigate through that. There's no book on that. So you really try to figure out how to keep your identity, how to
Mm,
remain who you are, how to represent. You have to represent God, you have to represent your husband, and you have to represent the ministry that
mm,
your husband pastors. So I already was going through a lot of changes and a lot of conversations with God where there were things I just did not understand. And
mm,
then we were planning a pregnancy, but we were already pregnant. So it just kind of
mm,
hit me out the blue already. So now we're pregnant. 3 months into the pregnancy, we're getting, when you're your first time, you're getting all the tests, all the bells and whistles, like, oh yeah, let's go, let's do that. And so our first test red flagged us for it was Down syndrome. I mean, they had like this
mm,
laundry list of stuff that we had never heard of before. 'Cause, we had heard of Down syndrome, but all the other stuff, I was like, I don't even know what that stuff is.
mhm,
Um, and initially, me and my husband, we just cried because we're like we
mhm.
both grew up in ministry. We both love the Lord. We both have served God's people all our life. So it was like, okay, God, like, what is this about? We thought we did it the right way. And no disrespect to anybody that has done it the other way. But we were like, hey, we got married. We're in ministry. We're trying to lead a good example. Like, what is this about? And then my husband left it up to me to make the decision when the doctor said, we need to terminate this pregnancy. Let us know what you want to do. My husband was like, well, it's up to you. I'm like, bro, like this is us, together. Like, what do you mean?
Oh,
What do you mean? And so he said that I was going to have to be the one to carry it and be, have to deal with all the anxiety and the stress of it, which I didn't understand then, but it made sense throughout the pregnancy because I was the one constantly in and out of test and going back and forth, for different consultations. He was with me every step of the way, but there were
mm,
times where we showed up and he couldn't go in the room with me. It was just me and the nurses or me and the doctors. So
mm.
it was a very, very trying time. But
Yeah.
it like a light bulb clicked one day and I was like, the Lord didn't bring us this far to leave us.
Come on.
We're not terminating this pregnancy. We are going to run on to see what the end is going to be. We are going to live out the scriptures that we teach about. We push hope and we, tell people there's hope and there's faith out there.
Mhm,
So this is us living out loud. This is no longer a game. This is real life. So
mhm,
um like you said earlier, it was very public, so we kind of picked up with the public when he was born. We didn't tell everyone about the process from when we were pregnant up until when he was born on Christmas Day, our little Christmas miracle baby.
wow.
So
Yeah.
there are some people that feel like, oh well, it was public, they talked about it on Facebook, but there are a lot of intimate moments, a lot of thoughts that my husband and I did not discuss on Facebook. A lot of people think that once he had his fifth surgery, which was maybe 3 or 4 years ago now, that everything's fine. Like, okay, he doesn't have issues anymore. Like, no, we're still in this thing. This still is a daily survival for us, and we have to pray and pull on our faith every day for God to carry us through. Our child is only 7, and he has a pacemaker, so we have to create an atmosphere here at the house, to make sure that he thrives and that we all survive emotionally, and he survives physically. So,
And Charlé, it had to be, it had to be taxing on your marriage. It had to be. All right. So talk to us about, because I understand going through trauma in marriage. I understand going through death in marriage, And what we like to say, what my husband and I like to say is, you either gonna sink or swim. It's either gonna bring you closer together or it's gonna pull you apart. and thank God, every trial, every one of our storms brought us closer together. But talk to us about the strain, the reality, because I mean, like I said, people looking at y'all like, oh, they got the perfect little setup. They got the perfect life, they getting ready to do this and la la la. But you're a newlywed and going through these changes. So how do you navigate that as newlyweds?
so first it was, it was an emotional toll throughout the pregnancy. I didn't, day to day, I would wake up and just didn't know how I felt. And I really think my husband didn't know what to do with me in that time, because he's like, okay, she's not happy today. Is it she's not happy with me? She's not happy with the marriage? Like, where did I go wrong? And then I would have to constantly remind him, like, it's not you. I'm just having a bad day. So we did have to have a conversation where we promised each other we would verbally let each other know, like, today is not a good day for me, dealing with the baby, or, just whatever it is that we're going through. And then as we got deep into, once he was born, that's probably when it really became challenging, because we were literally living at the hospital. So you're talking, we're in the hospital the first time. We were in the hospital for 37 days. So, there was limited, very limited sexual activity. I mean, it's, we're like, we barely can fit on this little cot that we have in his hospital bed, and it's not like we're going to be trying to get it in his hospital suite. Nurses are in and out all day, all throughout the night, so there was no physical activity. And then again, I think it got bad for him. Now for me, I was in and out throughout the pregnancy, but then for him, once Evan was here, as a dad and as a pastor, he could not do any, men are fixers. They like to fix everything. So he's like, I can't fix my son's health issues. I can't make this better. So that's when his frustration and his days of depression started to jump out. He started to get snappy, and I had to learn how to walk away, how to let him have. We had to learn how to let each other have our moments, and then come back and visit it later, like, okay, you were having a bad day today, it's okay, I understand. But definitely the physical strain of sex. I talk a little bit about financially in the book, how we were stuck at the hospital and so worried about our child thriving that I couldn't pay any of the bills. The money was there, I just mentally had checked out. So it was kind of like, okay, like, what's going on with the bills? I'm like, oh yeah, I'm gonna get to it. So there was the strain on that. And us just trying, really having to understand that this is not normal. This is us just stuck in a bad season, and let's help each other navigate through that. But at first, you don't really see it as that. It's just kind of like, oh, what? Hold on.
Right.
Where'd that come from?
Right. And so what would you say the most important thing you learned as a couple coming out of that situation, about how to deal, and even you as a first lady and he as a pastor, how do you counsel, other women in particular who are going through, traumatic experiences? What do you tell them to focus on?
To be honest about your emotions with your spouse. If you can't be honest with anybody else, be honest with your spouse about how you really feel, because they can't help you if they don't know how you really feel. You don't have to put on a front for your spouse. You don't have to fake and be phony for your spouse. It's very important that you are open and honest. Communicate your emotions. Say, I am having a bad day. I think I need some alone time. Let me process how I feel today, and then I will, engage with you, because I don't want to take it out on you. But I think the number one thing is to be just honest. I like how in the Bible it talks about when Adam and Eve came together, and it says they were naked. And I always like to use that as a reference for marriage, because a lot of people think naked in a physical sense. When you are naked with your spouse, you need to be transparent emotionally, physically, and spiritually. So when you say naked, like when you get married, make sure you are naked completely, spiritually, emotionally, and physically. That's just
yes. Oh, the whole thing. Because if you're not, it's gonna show up in other ways, And so that's really good. So what you would say is just be honest with your feelings. And I think that that's so powerful, and women need to hear that. And I do need that space. And conversely, he might need that space.
Absolutely.
The brothers are going through the same toll. It's not their bodies, but they're experiencing this thing right along with you. So I think that's powerful. And now I want you to tell us about Evan today. What is he like today?
Evan is a character. He is such a light. He now I would say in the last, so he's 7, but I would say maybe in the last year or two has been the year of him understanding his situation. When he was born, as parents, we had to make all the decisions, communicating with the doctors, signing all the papers. Evan had no clue what was going on. So now when we go for checkups and when there's procedures, he flips out. There is a bit of trauma from being in and out of the hospital, where he does not like doctors, he does not like nurses. He knows how to talk back now. So, sometimes it's very disheartening for me, because he'll say things like, well, Mom, why are you letting them do this to me? And I'm like, child, you have no idea how in the first year of your life we had to advocate for you and fight for you just to survive, and we made the best decisions we could for you. But now he's vocal. He's a typical 7-year-old, like, I don't want to go to the doctor, I'm not going to the doctor, I don't want a shot, I don't know, I'm not going. But he is the most caring person in our entire family. He looks out for all of us. When we leave the house during the pandemic, he's like, Dad, don't forget to put your mask on, because I don't want anybody to get coronavirus, so just little stuff like that. Like, he tells his little sister, like, no, Charlie, you can't, you can't grab that. You're gonna get hurt. And he is very, very observant. He notices everything. Very, very smart, very wise beyond his little years. But we all have learned how to make him have a normal life while letting him know that there are boundaries because of your health conditions.
Yeah.
And that can be very, very hard for a 7-year-old to digest. Like, okay, I'm born on Christmas, I'm special, I had 5 open heart surgeries, but I want to go play basketball, I want to go play football. Yeah, no, bro, you can't. So that's the challenge for us, is just trying to find a balance for him to know, like, you are special. You do have some things that we have to consider when it comes to activities.
Yes. I think he is one of the most handsome little men that I have ever seen. And I think he's like a miracle to everyone. Again, knowing the story, watching it happen. And I'm so glad. I know it wasn't easy, but I'm so glad that you did, and that you and your husband did decide to share the process of what you were going through, because you had thousands of people praying, literally. And it felt good to be a part of that and to see you come through victorious. That was the thing. So I'm just like, Storm Watch, y'all need to get that book. Ladies, gentlemen, if you've gone through any type of challenges, whether it's in your marriage or just personally, this book is going to inspire you. It's going to help you make some good decisions. It's going to encourage you and empower you. And again, Charlotte, where can we get the book?
So the book is, and let me grab it because you said how handsome he was. He is.
Yes.
He is on the cover with me.
Yes.
That is him on the cover. So it is available on Amazon as well as my website, charlekiana.com. So it's the pronunciation of my name, SharlayQuiana. You can purchase it on my website. Signed copies come from the website. But if you order it from Amazon, I cannot personally autograph it for you unless I see you in person somewhere.
Yes.
And it's $19.98 plus shipping and handling. So yeah, that's that. Oh, also BarnesandNoble.com too. So
you can get it at Amazon.com. You can get it on BarnesandNoble.com. You can get it on your website. And so if you get on the website, she'll sign it personally, right? So I again, I'm so proud of you as a first-time author. I know what that process is like. I've written 3 books. I know what it felt like when I wrote my first book. And just to encourage those people, those women, especially young women who have a book in them, listen, the key thing is to get it out. Okay? The key thing is to not procrastinate and get it out, because you have a story that the world is waiting to hear. So, girl, thank you. Thank you. Thank you. And blessings and love and grace to Pastor Elton Johnson, to your beautiful children, to your superstar, Evan, and just to everything that God has in store for you. The sky is the limit. The sky is the limit. And I'm so proud of you, so proud to know you, so proud to have a chance to talk with you and laugh with you, and just, as we say, build one another up, because you are a queen. Everyone on Sisters on Sacred Grounds, we thank you for tuning in. We thank you for just dipping into the girl talk conversation. Thank you for being a part of this evening. And we hope that something that you've heard will encourage you, will enlighten you, will inspire you to get your own thing going on, to become an activist, to be an entrepreneur, to find out what it is that you should be doing with your own hands and do it with all your might. We are excited. This is Her Story with the one and only Charlé Johnson. Make sure and visit us on Sisters on Sacred Grounds on the web and on all of our social media pages. Sisters on Sacred Grounds, that's SISTAHS, Sisters on Sacred Grounds on Instagram and Facebook. We will see you next time. Mwah. We love you. Bye.
Hi, everybody.
Hello, everybody.
Happy Mother's Day. I'm Reverend Stephanie Adams, and I am the host of Sisters on Sacred Grounds, and this is my fabulous husband, Mr. Steve Adams, our executive producer, and we just want all the mothers out there to know we love you and we appreciate you. Thank you.
And I want to dedicate a sign to the mothers. Happy Mother's Day to you all from the Long Beach Unity Festival.
Happy Mother's Day, everybody.
Happy Mother's Day.